Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim, and we're going to go through the final part of investment side of behavioral finance. The final part is more about the individual investor's behavior. Oh, isn't that good enough already? We learned about the overconfidence and then the disposition effect and all these kind of things. You are right. We are almost done. But we have something more to cover a little bit. That is too precious to miss, right? We call it household finance, the individual investor's behavior and the savings, and then not just in the stock market behavior, but in the savings behavior, all this kind of stuff. Okay, and it is deeply related to fintech if you are interested in it, right? Actually doing those businesses, right? You need to understand these kind of characteristics of the individual investors, right? What is their pattern, right? The first thing I want to highlight is about the Alok Kumar's paper, Journal of Finance 2009, lottery-like stocks, right? Some of you may have stock market investment experience, right? And then some of you will find that, oh, my friend says, or your friends turns out to be very skillful or likes to invest in the stock market. And by those, you and your friends, you know, bring the money to the person, your friend, who seem to be good at stock investing. But every now and then, those guys, if you look at their portfolios are concentrated much more on something called penny stocks, right? Which is like a 동전주 in Korean terminology, or 계잡주, whose stock price per share is around $1 or less. Penny means like cents, right? The stocks that is worth a cent or two only. Whereas the usual stocks that we talk about is like $60, $40, or $20 range, right? Extremely cheap stocks. And the things is that so many people, individual investors, the 개미들, right, invest in this kind of 동전주 penny stocks, right? And then what's the idea over there, right? If you watch the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio is the guy who is doing that, right? What are those penny stocks? These stocks are the ones that once bankrupted. Those guys, the companies in financial distress. So once you hit the bankruptcy, you get to the court receivership, and then the court decides over time, okay, decides whether your company should be liquidated or should be revived, okay? 회생 or 청산 절차. It's like a Korean terminology, right? 90% of the chance you will be liquidated, but there's a 10% chance or less of reviving your company. Well, during this court receivership, your company's stock price, how much would it be? A cent or two, right? Or 10 cents or 20 cents, less than $1 or something, very small amount. It's not absolutely zero because there is a chance that your company may revive. Okay, one out of a 9 or 1 out of 100 chance, right? The thing is, once the company gets revived, okay, then the whole lot of new world appears to the company, so that the stock price will jump by about 10 times or more. Okay, jackpot happens, just like when you hit the lottery, right? Jackpot. Extreme positive return happens for this kind of small stocks. They are penny stocks, 동전주, 계잡주 kind of things, right? Of course, 90% plus times your investment will end up with nothing. 휴지 조각 disappears and liquidated. You get nothing out of it. Okay, it's just like a lottery stocks, lotteries, right? So we call this kind of stocks lottery stocks. But the thing is lottery, right? The thing is lottery, public lottery that you find, that you buy, okay, Powerball or whatever. On average, you're going to lose money by doing the lottery, buying the lotteries, right? Lottery ticket. It's schemed like that so that on average, the organizers will earn money, which means you will lose money. So that the organizers will do some proposed purposes, right? For the society, hopefully. Helping the poor and things like that. But the thing is, right, who are those lottery subscribers? If the lottery is designed to help the poor people, who buys that lottery? Okay? Is that a rich person? We hope that. We hope so. But what people find, what the researchers found is the other way around, right? Investors overweight. Here's the idea about the lottery-like stocks and the lottery investments. Individual investors prefer stocks with lottery features that has extremely small probability of extremely high degree of earnings, or not earnings, but the returns, extreme positive return, but very small probability, and absolute majority of the probability mass goes into the negative side. Highly skewed return distribution, lottery-like stocks, right? That's the idea. People's risk-taking propensity in one setting predicts risky behavior in other settings. There is a people's behavior coherency, right? Coherency, or how do you say, consistency, internal consistency in people's behavior. 안에서 새는 바가지 바깥에서 샌다. 그러니까 if you like lottery ticket, if you want to buy lottery tickets, right? You're more likely to invest in lottery-like stocks because the return distribution is similar. Okay, your investment behavior here and there, right, will be coherent, right? It's almost always the case. You see behavioral consistency in whatever setting. If you're, how do you say, scratching your nose, right, in your home, you're more likely to do the same outside your home. Okay. And things like that. So that's the idea here. Demand for lottery-like stock, lottery-type stocks increases during economic downturn, which is recession. And then socioeconomic factors that influence greater expenditure in lotteries are associated with greater investment in lottery-type stocks. And then states lotteries and lottery-type stocks attract very similar socioeconomic clienteles. That's the finding over here. So who invest in this kind of lottery-like stocks? 동전주, 개잡주, 집중 투자. Well, they are the ones, just like they are the ones who heavily buy lottery tickets, right? Lottery players are poor, young, and relatively less educated, single men, and who live in urban areas and belong to a specific minority group and religious groups. That's what Alok Kumar found in Journal of Finance 2009. It's not me that I did it, but Alok Kumar, right? How could he find out all these things? Because thanks to the data provided by, who is it? Terry O'Dean of UC Berkeley. Okay, I told you before that he has the individual investor trading data with ethnic backgrounds like that, and the addresses and all these kind of things. So that's why they could find all these kind of things together. Big data approach. Investors with these specific characteristics also invested disproportionately more in stocks with lottery features. That's what these guys found out using that data. Lottery-like stocks, they have very low prices relative to the highest potential payoff, and then they have low negative expected returns. Their payoffs are very risky, and they tend to have big idiosyncratic volatility, and then they have big idiosyncratic skewness, and then very low stock prices. And then when volatility is high, investors might believe that the extreme returns in return events observed in the past are more likely to be realized again. There's a psychologically, okay, you are overconfident. People are overconfident, especially the young people, right, in their ages of 20s and 30s. That's peak time of their testosterone level, right, the male hormone that drives you to take risk and makes you overconfident as well. So that the probability of hitting the jackpot in any given lottery, you tend to believe that your probability will be extremely high compared to the other people, right? That's overconfidence. And then a large discount brokerage data, yeah, Barbara and Odine's paper data, Alok Kumar used it, and then they found it. What you see on this graph is the weighting of, they looked at the portfolio weight of the lottery-like stocks for retail investors, which is very high in this solid line, versus institutional investors over here in the gray line, lowest possible, because these are dangerous stocks, right? Lottery-like stock, 90% of chance this is nothing. It's like a 휴지 조각. It's like a, how do you say? Nothing, zero value, okay? Like a tissue, right? We say in Korean terminology. 90% 휴지 조각. Your pension fund, you don't want your pension fund, 국민연금 kind of things, to hold this kind of dangerous stocks, risky stocks. So by law, they cannot hold it. And some mutual funds may hold it, but they tend not to hold it. And on average, in the market cap-wise, in the expected weight, in the market portfolio, it's like 1% or something. But if you look at the individual investors' portfolio holdings, it's like 4 percentage point or something, okay? Which is 4 times higher than the market average. Tells us a lot about it. And then it has to do a lot to do with the recent behavior of the Korean youth of their ages of 20 to 30, 2030 세대, investing so much in the what is it, lottery-like stocks as well as coins and kind of stocks, right? I know many of you invested in not just the Bitcoin but altcoins because of the price concern. But the thing is, the return of those coins are more like lottery stocks, right? Lotteries or something like that. Watch out. You have more reason to jump in over there because of the biological reason. You get more overconfident in your ages of 20s and 30s, right? But you have to abstain from that, okay? People in my age, like 40 to 50s, right? We are old enough already, exhausted, so that we don't invest that much in these risky assets, right? But younger people, right? This is where, you know, fintech has to resolve this issue. Anyway, instead of worsening it, right? Anyway, the next is about superstition. There is superstition. Yes. Does superstition affect your investment behavior? Okay. And the people frequently say that the anticipating stock price, hitting the right stock price with your expectation, is the realm of religion. Okay, maybe superstition. So, is there a lucky number in your investment, and then that makes you rich? Is that really the case? Is a valid question. Do we have to worry about that? Well, it's non-trivial issue because in Korea, not just in Korea, but many, right? But one example in Korea is like SK Groups, the number 2 largest 재벌 groups in Korea. He wasted 500억 won. It's like what? 50 million, 500 million Korean won, 500 million Korean won, by investing in, you know, shitty stocks that were recommended by those superstitious guys. Who is it? Like a shaman, right? And then you invest in this kind of stock and that kind of stock, and he squandered all this money, like 500 million won. How much is that worth, right? 5,000, like a huge amount of money, right? It happens frequently, every now and then, right? If you believe that is only unique incidents of Korea, you think again, okay? everywhere in the world. We are the world, right? People tend to resort to superstition when it comes to decision making under uncertainty. Oh, what is my lucky number, right? So David Schleifer and his group of researchers had this question. Well, people tend to have superstition about the numbers, lucky numbers. For example, in Chinese culture, 8 is a lucky number because the pronunciation is ba, which is similar to fa. The fa, it means like a blossoming. Blossoming what? I don't know. They're hoping that it is money is blossoming, so that, you know, all the opportunities blossoming instead of something bad blossoming, right? So fa and ba sound similar. So Chinese people love number 8. In contrast, they hate number 4. Why? Because of the pronunciation. Si is similar to the word death, which is like si, right? Si. Of course, the si shang, the intonation is different, but the pronunciation is quite similar. That's why you don't want to get reminded of the bad death. So unlucky number is there. I mean, number 4 being hated numbers is ubiquitous in Asia, at least in East Asia. South Korea, we hate number 4 because it's pronounced as 사, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Similar to 죽을 사. It's like a death 4. Oh, 사. Just like Chinese, 스. Okay. And then Japan is like what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 시 is like 4. And then 가로시 is like a death out of overwork, right? Death is like 시. So 시. Yeah. We hate 4. So ubiquitous in Asia. Now, what's the idea in this testing, right? This is David Schleifer and my NTU ex-colleague Huai Zhang over here. And then their idea was to look at the IPO of China. And then the stock code is assigned, right? And then the thing is, lucky code may be there if the code has more 8 than 4, right? And then the companies may try to have different draw. If they are not satisfied with number 4 being on their stock code, they try to do it again. Okay. So what they find is that disproportionately more number of companies have number 8 in their stock code, whereas less number for 4, right? And then what is even more interesting is the IPO performance of those stocks. The stocks with number 8 in it, guess what? The IPO first day return is huge. And then subsequently, it deteriorates further down. Come back to original level. Okay? So IPO underperformance is more drastic for lucky number stocks. So lucky number does not necessarily mean you're going to have great return in the future. On the other hand, it's worse, right? IPO performance is worse. In contrast, number 4 stocks, right? Their first day IPO, first day return is minimal. Doesn't go up that much. Not many people want to buy that. But post IPO performance is rather silent. They don't go anywhere. They don't go down, right? It just stays there. Okay, so that's an interesting finding that they find out in this paper. Lucky color, yeah, red. I told you about this red color impact on the momentum, right? Red is the color even the animals try to avoid because it is related to the blood and then fire and all this kind of warning naturally is assigned red colors, right? Stop sign, all these kind of things. You get alert. Oh, yeah, spooky. So the thing is, the candlestick chart in America. Wait. Before we move on to candlestick chart, what do researchers find? Well, in the Henry Cronquist, right? They show the people in the laboratory, show these two identical pictures except for the colors. The stock price chart going down, identical one, only with red color on it, and then the black color over here. So the treatment group sees this red color one, control group sees that one, and then ask, right, how much are you willing to buy this stock? Well, given that it is going down, if you believe in mean reversion, right, wouldn't you buy it so that you will return it? But the ones who saw this red color, they were like, I'm not going to buy it. No. Much more hated than the guys who saw this black colored ones, which means that the demand for these stocks will be much less compared to the demand of these stocks, right? The stocks going down represented by red color versus black color. Which one would you avoid more? Red one. Now, how does that add to the user interface idea? Well, if you look at the stock price chart and the candlestick chart, right? Candlestick chart, US is more like a red, it means going down, green is going up. Just like a traffic light. Green light, move on. And then red light, stop it, warning. This kind of things goes on. Now, what's the consequence? Well, the price goes down, it's shown with red light. Then it makes you avoid the stock even more, which means the demand is much smaller, then the price will go even further down subsequently. So that once the price goes down, it's more likely to have a continuation of price movement downward. Negative momentum will take place more in US stock market, and that's precisely what we find in our data. In contrast, Chinese culture don't hate red. Instead, they love red so much. I don't know which one is loved more, red versus 8 in Chinese culture. Okay, but the thing is, they don't show this kind of avoidance of red colored downward graph. Okay, so coherently, we don't find a negative, we don't find momentum in Chinese stock market nor in Korean stock market. Whereas we find strong momentum for US stock market. Partly maybe explainable by this colored user experience, maybe UX. So that's an interesting idea about it. And then non-cognitive abilities in financial market, financial delinquencies is another one that I want to highlight over here in the individual investor behavior. There is self-efficacy in your psychological state, psychological concept. That is, self-efficacy turns out to be very important when you repay the debt and financial obligations and things like that. Self-efficacy, what is that about? Well, people who believe I am a useful person, 난 쓸모 있는 놈이야. It's like I am a useful person and I control my own destiny. 내 운명은 내가 개척한다. It's like I am the explorer of my life. Yeah, the destiny, I'm going to make my destiny. Yes, instead of living the destiny that other people put me on. Right? That's self-efficacy. Okay? And then there's a survey of 6,000 US individuals, and then tracking down for many, many years. There's like a population, a census kind of, not the census, but panel data. US researchers have been accumulating over time, long time. And then this data, US panel data of individuals, they keep the IQ and risk aversion of each individual together with their family income and all this kind of other backgrounds, right? So they do multiple regression and control for all these kind of variables, traditional economic variables, and then additionally they find out that this self-efficacy measure has a strong predictive power about bankruptcy probability or personal bankruptcy probability. So National Longitudinal Survey of Youth, that's the dataset name. It tracks those individuals' cognitive and non-cognitive abilities, including their self-efficacy from an early age and adulthood, And then they report labor and financial market experiences of 6,000 people. For one standard deviation higher self-efficacy score is associated with 1.9 percentage point lower probability of loan default and 0.5 percentage point lower probability of foreclosure. It's like a 압류, 재산 압류당하는 거. It's like they take away your assets, like housings, right? Repossession or bankruptcy. Lower probability, and 0.7% lower probability of borrowing through payday loans. And then, which means these unconditional probabilities of these troubles are very low in the first place, like 10% or lower. So that these magnitude, right, 1.9% or things like that, translates into 11 to 14% lower rate compared to sample average, unconditional average, okay? Now, self-efficacy persons with self-efficacy believe that he can control or exert influence over the important events in his life, right? This kind of self-efficacy is molded early in life through parent-child interactions. 가정교육, like family education, is very important. And then when you are educating your children, okay? And then this self-efficacy, once it is built in your early childhood, it's rather stable throughout your life. Okay, so when you marry someone, okay, and give birth to a child, right? Don't try to maximize their math education prematurely. We call it child abuse, right? 대치동 수학 교육, like 학원 존나 뺑뺑이, right? That's child abuse if you're trying to do it in the early stage of the life, right? 국민학교 6학년은 is like there's a 6th graders, you have to do high school math. That's child abuse, right? I have to sue you, every one of those families. But anyway, nobody's doing that. But the thing is, much more important thing for their lives is the self-efficacy. The sense of, oh, I control my own freaking destiny. I can do whatever. Great things. I am the controller of my life. That positivity lasts long in their children, so that you have to be good at, you have to focus much more on the self-efficacy training for your education of your children, okay, instead of blind math education of abusive degree. Come on. So that's that. But then you may question, how do we measure self-efficacy? Right? We do the survey like this. This is based on the psychology literature, and the paper brings this one, right? You give 7 questions, and then each question the respondent will have to grade 1 through 4, depending on whether they strongly agree or disagree. And then number 1, no way I can solve some of the problems I have. It's like rather passive, right? Do you strongly agree or strongly disagree? If you're self-efficacy people, then you will be number 4. Each and every question is similar except for number 4 and 6. It's the other way around, just to check whether you are really reading it or just blindly responding, right? So that's that. And then aggregate all those scores, it will be like 4 to 28, right? 7, 4, 28, 4 times 7, 28, that's the maximum score. And then you group those people by self-efficacy score groups, right? The top and then the bottom groups, right? Then what do you find? The researchers find that the probability of financial delinquency rate is inversely related to the self-efficacy scores. More self-efficacy guys, feeling that you are more in control of your own destiny, then you are less likely to go bankrupt, because you are more resilient, and then you are more advocating to make your future positive. Okay, so that's a very important lifetime lesson for you and me and our families. So I hope you learn it throughout to your bones, right? So that's that. Next video, I'm going to talk about behavioral corporate finance concepts. So thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye-bye.